Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to show you a basic mastering chain with all of the stuff native to Ableton. So I've just got an old track of ours non-stop and I've got the pre-mastered version. So I normally put the mastering chain on just the project rather than doing it on a pre-master. But for the demonstration purposes today, I'm just going to do it on this pre-master. So the first thing that you need is a utility. Just so you can adjust the volume if you need to. If I spelled that wrong. There we go. So I'm going to throw all these on the main track. So that's just so I can adjust the gain if I need to. Next thing I want is a EQ8. Now a lot of people have different methods of the sort of low cuts, high cuts and things like that. I'll show you what I do. I like to have a soft low cut at 25 Hertz, just so this real low end information isn't being completely lost, it's just being turned down a lot, and I find that usually solves the problem for most tracks with a kind of a big muddy low end that you can hear on big sound systems. And then on the top I'm just going to do a little top and tail here. So there's the tail, there's the top. So this is just kind of like getting rid of the really high airy stuff. You can have that on or not have it on. I sort of prefer the sound of the kind of warm vinyl masters that you used to get and still do get now if you're doing vinyl mastering, but that's because the really high frequency stuff and really low frequency stuff will vibrate the needle off the record, so they had to get rid of that. So that gives it that kind of nice warm feeling. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for this EQ, and then I'm going to move into mid-side mode. So, not that one, that one. Okay, so the middle's going to stay fine, just like that. Move to side mode, I'm going to do the same, just get rid of that top stuff from up here, and then the bottom end, I'm going to turn that on again. I'm going to change that to 100 Hertz, just get rid of all the low end stuff from the side, so that'll just give you a sort of clean and tight bottom end. Okay, next up we're going to use multiband dynamics. Okay, so the settings here, these are the sort of the crossover points. So the low goes up to 120 Hertz, so about here, and then the high switches over at 2,500 Hertz, 2.5 kilohertz, so about here. So that's okay. Then I want to change the attack and the release. I'm not really going to bother with the bottom end. It's usually just to brighten the mids and the tops up. So I want to change so here you've got the attack and the release of each band. So I want to change the attack to 1, so it's quick response. Change the release to 30, so it's a bit more of a quick release. And the same on here as well. Okay, so let's play the track. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to push that pre-master so it's actually hitting the 0 dB limit. So I'm just going to put a utility on, sorry, a limiter, just to check that first. Okay, so we need to push the gain up a little bit on that. Okay, I don't want the kick to be hitting 0 dB, but the clap's okay on top of the kick. Alright, so I'll turn that off now. I've got that more or less to the right level. The reason that I'm doing that is because I want it to be reaching the right points on this multiband dynamics here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to give a little bit of compression to the highs and the mids. So to do that, you grab somewhere in this box with the left mouse button and drag it down, and then you'll see a little readout telling you how much it's being compressed by in this corner here. So let's just find a loud part of the track. So you can see when I'm pulling it down, it turns brown, and you can see the ratio here is increasing, and these lines here are kind of squashing up. So that's like increasing the ratio. So what that means is every signal that passes this threshold mark here is going to be turned down by a factor of whatever ratio you've got in here. So basically, if you pull this down, then this readout is going to increase so that you get more compression on that band. So I'm looking for about 1 dB here. So if you feel like it's a very dull track, I mean, in theory, you should really have sorted out the balance in the mix. Let's say you're just mastering a raw file, though. If you want to get more brightness out of it, then this is where you can do that. So I'm just going to go for about 1 dB reduction. So I want to get that right back up here. Pull it down. Okay. So getting about a 1 dB reduction there. As I said, if it feels dull, you can pull that down further and go to 2. And then I'm going to use this as makeup gain. So I've reduced that band by 1 dB, I've compressed it by 1 dB, and I'm going to make it back up again there, like that. Okay, I'm going to do the same on the mid. Doesn't matter if it's exact. Alright, so now if I just turn that on and off, you can hear what's happening. Okay, it's subtle, and you can do that to a higher degree, but I find that with mastering, using lots of different tools subtly, so it's not kind of overcooking the effects, then you get a nice sort of clean and bright master. Okay, the next thing that we're going to use is a glue compressor. Okay, so we want to turn soft clip on. Just give that a little bit of clipping. So you want that to be lighting up. If you've got the level right back here, then that should be being triggered automatically. And that needle moving a little bit. Now again, same as with the compression here, you can add a little bit of compression on this one, but again, you don't want to overcook it. So I'm just going to do the same thing again. I'm going to reduce the threshold by 1. You can see that needle's moving a tiny bit there, and then I'm going to increase the makeup gain by 1 to compensate. Okay, so if I turn it off, all I really know is so just added a tiny little bit more. Okay, the next thing then is a stock Ableton limiter. So if you use 2 different types of compression with 2 different algorithms in tandem, then it sort of shares the load. So if you try to like push everything into the glue compressor or everything into the limiter, then you can find that it struggles a little bit. You can really hear the effect. It doesn't sound clean. So I'm going to use 2 different ones. So if you've got like, so on my personal mastering chain, I would use like a Waves ultra maximizer as well sometimes, but in this one I'll just use the stock Ableton stuff, so you guys can all do this too. Okay, so one thing that's important is you need to leave a little bit of headroom. I like to leave, so I guess that's why they've put this on the limiter anyway as the default setting, but I like to have that at -0.5 just because if you upload a WAV to iTunes or Spotify, when they convert it into a digital format, it can sometimes add a tiny little bit of volume to it, and then you get tracks that are clipping when you have them on iTunes or something like that. So you need to leave a little bit of headroom there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put an extra 1.5 dB of gain into this limiter as well. Okay, so regardless of the utility giving the extra gain there, what I'm going to do is just turn all this off so you can hear what effects these are having. So this isn't going to be changing the amount of headroom that is the overall volume level. It's just kind of beefing everything up within the constraints of that sort of -5 ceiling there. so you can hear what the mastering tools are doing. Okay, so it should just be making it sound a little bit more sort of bright, upfront, and, well, mastered really. Okay, so super simple. That's it. You can use that mastering chain for your music. I hope that was helpful.